Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Ghostly Gossip, the podcast where we discuss all things paranormal and our experiences with them. So to introduce myself, my name is Derry, and I run a group called Devon and Cornwall Paranormal Investigators, or D.C.P.I. Just as a warning, the podcast may include swearing. Today we are speaking with Mike and Michelle, who run Darkside Spirit Seekers. They're a wonderful couple and have some pretty amazing experiences and stories from their investigations through the years. So today we're welcoming Michelle and Mark onto the podcast. So guys, where is it that you stand in the paranormal world at the minute?
We've been investigating for how long? We've been investigating for many, quite a few years now.
Well, for me, it's since 2020.
Yeah.
And for you?
I was never quite into it to start with. You know, I'm an urban explorer, so obviously I used to explore buildings, but that came to light when in a building, obviously I caught things that I couldn't explain. So obviously that propelled me into the thoughts of, I'm fascinated with the paranormal now. You know, it's fantastic. You know, what I couldn't explain. And
amazing.
Yeah, we've been doing it ever since, and we're getting loads of evidence, don't we? Which is incredible. Because I always say to, you know, when I see YouTube videos or programs, things like that, they seem to get evidence everywhere they go. And I've always said, you can't get evidence everywhere you go because it doesn't always happen. Now, I've had to go back on that now, because every time we go somewhere, and obviously we don't fake nothing, we don't condone fakery, but we seem to get evidence everywhere we go. Don't we? So I've had to go back on that and think, okay, I have to reevaluate what I say now.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, we do get places we go to where we're there 6-7 hours, don't get hardly anything at all.
Yeah.
You know, that's the drawback to what we do. And then we thought, okay, well, we love this. It's a hobby. It's great. Fantastic. So then we went on a couple of, paid events, you know, as guests and everything else, and we thought we could try that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Did a couple of events near us, and thought, I quite like these events. They're quite good. So then we went into, there was a team advertising for hosts to work with the public and to do paranormal events. So I thought, we should try this. We get into all these events for free. It doesn't cost nothing. I thought, this is fantastic. This is, you know, and they weren't very good at looking after their hosts, so to speak. And we thought, well, Michelle's got a business behind her and everything else, our successful businesses behind her. I've got my military background, so I can, you know, work with groups of people and command from the front, so to speak. And we thought, we could do it ourselves, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
You know, how hard can it be? That's usually a cliche, isn't it? How hard can it be? You know, and since then we've been doing public events as well as our own events, and it's fantastic. It just spirals, and it's gone on from there.
And the public enjoy it as well.
Yes.
Amazing. I think so many of us started out like that, kind of like joined another group, saw areas it could improve or change, or maybe places they didn't go to that you thought, I'd like to go there, and then it kind of snowballs very quickly in the paranormal world, I find.
Yeah, it does.
It's an addiction, isn't it?
It is. You know, it's like a drug. It really is. You get so addicted to it. You know, like I said, 10 years ago, I was dead against it. I thought it's a load of rubbish. You know, I've watched Most Haunted. It's a load of rubbish. You know, it doesn't exist. But like I said, when I'm doing urban exploring, which one goes usually with the other, I found there's things I can't explain. You know, because I like to debunk things, as an investigator always does. You spend more time debunking than you do investigating.
Yeah.
And I thought, I can't debunk this. You know, gripped me, and I thought, wow. Okay, I'll do more research. I'll look into this more. I'll read more books. I'll do all this. And it just went from there, like you said, and it just spirals so quickly. And that's where we are now, and it's crazy.
Amazing. So how did you have your first kind of experiences of paranormal? How did you both get into the world?
Right, I was going to say for me, it was when I was going on my first paranormal investigation with my husband that was at the time. So we set off, and I looked into the back of the car and I saw this lady in white sat in the back of the car. So I said to my husband, I was like, you know, who's the lady in the back of the car? And he said, there is nobody in the back of the car. I said, there is. I said, I can see her. She's looking at me. And of course, he was dead set against. He was like, oh, no. So nobody there. You're making it up. It's your imagination. I got to the event, and I said to the medium who was there, I said to him, there's a lady in white following me. And he said, yes, I know there is. And I said, but how can I make my husband understand that I'm not going crazy like he seems to think I am? And the medium just says, you know, you'll see by the end of the night. And I was thinking, God, I hope so, because he thinks I'm ready for the mental asylum. And basically, at the end of the night, they were taking pictures. And I've actually got a picture with this lady in white actually stood behind me.
Oh, wow.
That was what actually got me into the paranormal.
That's crazy. And for your first experience to be seeing a full-bodied apparition.
I know. It was crazy. It really was. I mean, I'll send you that picture later, but yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
Wow, that's a you need to do this now sign if ever I've known one, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
It makes you kind of jealous, doesn't it? Because it's something you don't see very often at all.
I'm quite lucky in that sense, but I was nearly sent to the mental institute when I was a kid for seeing them.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you were, I'll say back then, it makes it sound like we're ancient, doesn't it? But, when you're growing up, kids and everything else, and I'm always a firm believer that we're all born with this ability. I mean, how come babies can see spirits, animals can see spirits? We're obviously born with this, like, gift, so to speak, but when you're growing up, your parents, you have this imaginary friend, your parents say, it's just a figment of imagination, forget about it, it's a load of rubbish. And you tend to, desensitize yourself to it, don't you, and you don't pick up on it.
Absolutely.
Then you think, and then you start going down the world, it's a load of rubbish, it's fake, and everything else like that. But there are people out there that have enhanced on that since there was a child. Their life must be fantastic, that's all I can say, which I've done it at an early age.
Yeah, I have the same belief that everyone's born with the ability. It's just that society and, as you say, parents, friends, teachers, or whatever, influence us that, we're not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting those things. It's our imagination. And I totally believe that at any age you can re-access and relearn those skills. Yeah, I'm totally on the same page with you there. So was your first experience, Mark, into the paranormal world that urbexing experience you spoke about?
Yes, the thing that's probably frowned upon in society, or you look at it morally or whatever, it's however you want to look at it. I always am a firm believer is I don't break the law, I will never break the law, and I'll do things as respectfully as I possibly can. I get the morality of it, you're encroaching on someone's former home, it could be a bit of a moral issue, I get that, and I will always be respectful where I can, I'll gain permission where I can. But I was doing this one location in my former town of Gainsborough, Lincolnshire, and it's a former manor house. And the former manor house, it's from a former MP, it is manor house. And me and my best friend Joe was exploring in there. It was at night time, it was dark, spooky as hell. It's a lovely Victorian house it was. It was built early 1900s, so 1903 I think it was built. And it's over 100 years old, and it's got a lovely spiral staircase with a big skylight. That's the word. I'm terrible with pronouncing things. And so we was exploring there. We was going up the staircase, and we got upstairs. We're looking around upstairs because there's loads of books and old items left behind. It's like a treasure trove. It really was. And we both picked up on the fact that there's some noises downstairs. We definitely heard noises, so we said, okay, fair enough. Well, let's go down, because it could be kids, as it usually is. Kids crashing, it could be other urban explorers, or it could be the police. We don't know. So we went downstairs, nobody. Absolutely nobody downstairs. We searched every single room, so unless we were playing leapfrog, going from room to room, following us around, we didn't find nobody. So, okay, fair enough. So we went back upstairs and carried on the explore, and as I came down the stairs, on the bottom of the staircase, at the bottom spindle, obviously it's flat, but on there was an old perfume bottle, a really old-fashioned perfume bottle, and in front of that was an old black and white photo, which I found out was the grandmother of the MP who actually lived there. And that was not on them staircases when I went up the stairs, because I'm nosy, I would have seen it. So it was quite in your face, so to speak.
Oh.
And I said to my friend, and he looked at me and I said, well, I thought, okay, where did that come from? Because it wasn't there, and was looking at the staircase in general, and I saw this mist go up the stairs. It got to about halfway and then disappeared. At this point, I was actually getting freaked out.
Yeah.
I thought, this is some scary ass stuff. What the hell? Is it my imagination? I don't take drugs, so it's not that. What the heck is this going up the stairs? And then he said, it just disappeared. He looked at me. We looked at each other. We thought, we're going to carry on. Stuff this. And so I taking all my pictures, as I always do. And I didn't think nothing of it. And when I got home, and I thought, I'll have a look at my photos and then put them on Facebook like I normally do. And going through all my photos, trying to get rid of the ones that are underdeveloped and rubbish, deleting those. I come across this one photo, and there was a mist on half the picture. Not the other half, just the half. And the way I was looking, if it'd been my breath, it'd have been like the middle of the picture, which it wasn't. And I looked closely, and in the fireplace there was morphed into the fireplace a little girl and a terrier-type dog. Clear as day. Not pareidolia, not brickwork, or anything like that. I've tried to have everyone to debunk it. No one could debunk it. And it's as clear as a day.
Oh, amazing.
But there's half of the sofa that's got the mist on it. And on that end of that sofa there's clearly see a little girl sat down. You can see the white of her hand, the white of her head, sorry. She was just sat there on that sofa, isn't she? And the picture I took before that, no mist whatsoever, clear as a bell. Yeah, turned my mind completely. Yeah. And I've been into it ever since.
Opened a whole new world.
Oh my God, so to speak. Yeah, it has. You know, and it's just, and I want more and more and more. I just want more all the time now. I'm doing more research, more learning, and that's how it's catapulted me.
And get more evidence.
Yeah, not towards, you know, getting together, so to speak, and that's a different kind of story, but yeah.
What an introduction to the paranormal world you both had. It really slapped you in the face, didn't it? Okay, so what's been your favourite place that you've visited?
Oh my God, it's one of the most hardest questions ever to answer.
Yeah.
You know, when you've done so many, it's there's so many good ones that I've yet to do, but I think one of my favourite ones, paid events, maybe, possibly, is probably Shepton Mallet.
Yeah, Shepton Mallet's very good.
Shepton Mallet prison.
Got loads of evidence.
Awesome place. Very, very active. Extremely active. Non-paid, urban exploring kind of investigation. I think there's an old asylum ruin near us, near Sleaford, called Roseby Asylum. And that is a very active, foreboding place, isn't it? Especially at night time. Yeah. You know, there's about 8 buildings left. They're all in ruins, no windows, no doors, graffiti to hell. But it's got the electric shock bath still in situ.
Wow.
And everything else this is from like the early 1900s. And that's where I got my spiritual attachment from, of a little girl. And that's what I probably has to be one of my favourite places to go. Yeah, and I still like to go to this day. Hopefully, God forbid, they don't knock the rest of it down.
Well, yeah, that's the only worry, isn't it?
You know, because most of it was classed, I think, as the first or second biggest asylum in the country. And it was massive. But most of it's knocked down now for a housing estate. So what we're going to do with the rest, we don't know. But we love to go there, don't we?
We do.
Obviously, Michelle's probably got a better you know, on her list than me. But yeah, Roseby is probably my favourite. And
would yours be the same, Michelle?
It is, yeah, definitely. Definitely Shepton Mallet. I mean, we've got so much evidence from Shepton Mallet. It's crazy. And we've also got quite a lot of evidence from Roseby Asylum as well. So yeah, most definitely the same.
It's a harrowing place, though, isn't it? Mm. Because while you're there, and you listen as quietly as you can, take the background noise from the housing estate, we do hear a lot of disembodied voices.
And screams.
Oh. And I mean, it's screams that go through the corridors. It's not scary, you know, in that kind of terms of it, but it does put you on edge.
You hear, like, whistling as well, don't you? There's quite a lot of whistling.
Footsteps. Sometimes the squealing of beds being moved, this, that and the other, and it is a very foreboding place at night. Even during the day, it's foreboding.
Yeah.
I found that at Bronnegarth, up in Wales, which is, again, was a hospital, was, you know, it's been so many things, workhouse, hospital, asylum, everything. But it's so noisy. You know, as you said, beds, footsteps, people wandering around, drawers opening, screaming, whispering, chatting, like, it's just so noisy, even though there's nothing there anymore. And I think that's the thing with those big places that always were so noisy. It kind of just sticks, doesn't it? And you still hear it now.
It does. I mean, we've got Bronnegarth on our list to 2nd of August. We're really looking forward to it. We were supposed to do it last year, but it got cancelled by an events company. And very disappointed because it's always been in my top 10 places that I want to go and investigate.
Oh, has it? Okay. It's amazing.
Just to say I've been, you know, there's loads more on my bucket list to do, but that's one that I really want to go do, and I'm looking forward to it. So
it is so good. I highly advise spending a fair bit of time in the palliative care room.
Okay. Cool. I've seen pictures from the place, and it does look really. I know obviously they've used it as scare mazes and all sorts and everything else as well, so they've got to make it look very atmospheric. But, you know, the building itself looks very atmospheric.
It is. It's definitely a very, as you said about kind of the asylum by you, a very kind of like foreboding, kind of heavy feeling in there, kind of as soon as you kind of walk onto the property. But it's an excellent explore.
You have to realise as an investigator as well, sometimes, you know, not everything you get at these places is paranormal. Sometimes it is your mind interpreting that of what it used to be. You have to take that into consideration, don't you, when you're investigating?
Yeah.
You know, is your mind playing tricks on you? Are you having this sense of, I don't know, anguish inside you? Is that because of what it was, or is it genuinely because of the spirit there making you feel or help, you know, how they felt?
Yeah.
You know, that double-edged sword, isn't it? You've got to spend more time debunking it. Is it this? Is it that? You know, I love them. I love them. The more spooky the places, the better.
So on the subject of spooky places, what is the scariest place either of you have ever visited?
I've never been able to answer this one. The fact is, it's extremely, very rare I get scared. I've been watching horror films since I was 6 years old, so nothing there scares me. I've been dealing with blood and guts at a very young age. Nothing phases me. I think the only thing that would faze me and scare me would be a rat, because I don't like rats. Which comes hand in hand with urban exploring. So, you know, our paths would do meet occasionally. But scary, I don't know.
I think the T3 Underground, after what happened.
Maybe T3 Underground, which is obviously the Victorian Underground street shopping arcade, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that place, but it's a lovely place to go explore and investigate.
Should I explain what happened to you at T3 Underground? Explain what happened.
We've been there, 3-4 times now. You know, as guests, as hosts, and as investigators. So we did a public event there, didn't we? We took the public there, a paid event. What was it, about six weeks ago?
About 6 weeks ago, wasn't it?
And they opened up some new rooms down there. They've unlocked some more rooms. And I thought, oh, great, this is going to be fantastic. I like to start my events off with a human pendulum. I love the human pendulum. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And it gets it all going, doesn't it? Get the activity going. It gets the customers going. You know, especially when they all start swaying, or people on the outside of the circle start swaying. It's a fantastic experience. But for one, we never got nothing, did we? Nothing at all. It was completely dead, so to speak. There's a few noises in the room opposite where we were stood. A couple of the red pods went off, cat balls flashed, but other than that, nothing. So I said, right, well, we'll go to the next room, which, funnily enough, was the brothel, because there was a brothel down there. And I took my son with us. He wasn't hosting, or it wasn't part of. He just wanted to come along, just to cheer him up, so to speak. And he come up to me and says, I don't feel very well. You know, I feel a bit nauseous, this, that, and the other.
It felt odd, didn't it?
Felt really odd. I thought, okay, maybe because he bit down because of what had been happening to him. And so right, go upstairs, go outside into the courtyard, get some fresh air, rest, relax, and I'll come and get you in about 15 minutes. So we left him to it. And then one of our hosts came towards me and said, can I borrow you for a few minutes? I said, yeah, by all means. So I left Michelle to deal with the customers. It was only a small group, wasn't it, thankfully. And she says, I'm trying to get hold of your son. He's unresponsive. And I thought, oh, God. You know, my first reaction as a parent is, what's he taken? Has he had an overdose? Has he done something silly, as we all do, moments of madness? So I ran up the stairs. Anyway, he was crouched down, leant against the wall. His bum was just off the floor. And I said, Eric, I said, can you hear me, son? And he wasn't responding. His eyes were rolling. They were completely rolling, but he was starting to froth at the mouth. And I thought he'd taken an overdose here. Silly fool, took an overdose. I was shaking him, couldn't get no response. I was slightly slapping his face, just to bring him round. Was not responsive. I said to Sarah, the host, we're going to have to get him into the break room. I think we're going to have to call for an ambulance. I think he's done his, but the fact that he was frothing and then he started growling, I said, right, well, this isn't an overdose. This is not an overdose. And I knew my son wouldn't do that. I've been in this situation where I've taken an overdose, unfortunately, so he knows the kind of trauma that brings, and he wouldn't touch it. And my boy is only skinny. He's very scrawny, and I'm quite strong, being a former soldier. And it took me 20-25 minutes to get him, what would normally take about a couple of minutes walk down the stairs, through the tunnel and into the break room. It took me 20-25 minutes to get him in there. He was fighting so much. And I said to Michelle, this isn't an overdose. This is definitely not an overdose. So we got him sat down, and he was grunting. He was really enraged. He was sweating, and it was just fighting. And so we called for Andy, who owns the place. He's a paramedic. So obviously we called for him to come down so he could check his obs and all that kind of stuff. But we thought, no, he's in stage 1 possession here. Something's trying to take him over. And Michelle was doing all she can, because Michelle's part witch, but she doesn't practice. and she was trying to expel this entity, whatever was trying to attach to Eric, and he was fighting and fighting. Eventually, after about 20 minutes, half an hour at least,
I managed
to expel this dark entity, whatever it was, negative energy, whatever it was. And straight after that, he vomited. Now, he vomited pure yellow. It wasn't yellow. It didn't look like bile to me. Mm-hmm. Definitely, I've dealt with a lot of that. It was just pure. It was brightest yellow I've ever seen, and obviously it's a strong smell of sulphur. Yes, people could say maybe there was an infection. He didn't have any infections or anything like that. I know my son very well. It came round a little bit after that, started a bit more responsive. We gave him some sweet tea to build his energy levels back up again. But then obviously Andy stayed with him all through the night so we could carry on with the investigation. It scared me, not because he was my son. That didn't matter. It had been a member of my staff or the public. I've been exactly the same. Yeah, and it was just one of the scariest moments I've ever had in the paranormal. I don't ever want to see it again. But it makes you think then the downside to what we do, how dangerous it can actually be. Yeah. And people don't realise this. Yeah. My customers, I always say to people, I'm not bothered what you believe, what you don't believe. That's fine. We all got our own beliefs. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. You need the believers as well as you need the non-believers. Yeah, that was very traumatizing. Yeah, that would probably be my scariest.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Yeah, and to see that to anybody, and especially like in that moment, as you said, like everyone's kind of trying to like do what they can, but that there isn't like a handbook for this. Like there isn't a warning sign on the front door that says danger cliffs. There's not like danger. There's a negative spirit here who likes to do things like this. And so it is. We do a risky thing whenever we enter anywhere, but sounds like you guys handled it really well, and hopefully he's okay now.
He's okay now. As far as I'm aware, he's okay. I keep in contact with my son because he doesn't live with us. And I said to people, I make a joke about it. So I only want to cheer him up. God help me if I want to take him somewhere to frighten him. I don't think he'll ever come out with me ever again. But it does show to the world that what we do can be dangerous. Even experienced and people more experienced than us. These dangers still exist. So it's got me on a different kind of path now to learn more about that and to be able to deal with it more. What can I do?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if this situation does arise again, what can I do to help?
As me, Michelle, and all of our hosts, we're as protective as we can be. We have the bracelets and we have black obsidian, we have all the incense, we have all that kind of stuff. So we're as safe as we can possibly be. We do all the opening prayers, the closing prayers, the cleansing. We do all of that. But even still, after all of that, these things can and still go wrong.
Absolutely.
What we'd like to do as well as entertain the public, make them have a good time, hopefully get some spiritual activity. But we also like to educate as well on the dangers and what you can, can't, must do at any location. We like to educate, don't we? Best we can, and if I can get someone to go home with a little bit more education that they did before they came, then my night's been a successful one as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. I find that quite a lot as well, if we're opening in prayer for pendulum board, whatever, and people go, why do we have to do that? I'm like, this is the prime time to tell you why you should always do this. Because it's dangerous, and there is kind of a lack of education, but also it's hard to educate on something that people don't see as proven, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's what doesn't make it any easier are the TV programs, the movies, this, that, and the other. I always start off with our public event. What do you want from this night? What are what's the word? What am I looking at? Expectations. What do you expect from the night? Oh, well, I expect this to happen, that to happen. I said, well, don't. Clear your mind, expect nothing. Because it's not Most Haunted. It's not Help My House is Haunted, Ghost Adventures, anything like that. It doesn't work like that. Because if you're going with those expectations, you're going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, I've had conversations with people where they've been to their first paranormal event, and they're like, I'm like, did you have a nice evening? They're like, oh, I didn't see a ghost.
Join the club. We don't
and I'm like, well, that happens very rarely, generally to very few people. If that's what you came expecting, you've kind of not read the brief.
And it is funny, but not funny at the same aspect. I try to tell people, I get up where you get Darkside Spirit. I hate Most Haunted. I absolutely hate the programme. You know, it was good for entertainment, don't get me wrong. You know, I can't think of that field in, a screaming just does my head in completely. I know it's there for TV and entertainment, I get that. And I always say that these events, a lot of these events are filmed sometimes over a 2 or 3 day period. You know, so your 40-minute episode is filmed over a length of time. So all the best bits are going to be put in there, all the fake bits are going to get put in there, and it's for entertainment. You know, it's not reality. I wish it was. I'd love to see a table fly 50 foot across the room. I'd love to see it.
Oh, I know, right?
You know, I'd love to see someone's head turn 360 degrees like it was in The Exorcist. I'd love to see that.
Oh, I don't know if I'd want to see that. I don't know if I'd want to be there for that bit.
I've got a very morbid sense of humour. That comes from time in the military. But, you know, obviously I say it as a bit of a joke, so to speak, you know, but it doesn't happen like that.
No.
You know, that's a multi-million-dollar piece of activity, that is. You know, and that's what we all want. But unfortunately, customers tend to believe that the TV programmes, and it makes our job very, very difficult.
I think it's changing now. I think as the paranormal world is growing and Most Haunted isn't the only thing that we've kind of got to base our expectations on, I think it is slowly changing, but it's going to take a long time.
It is.
It's going to take a long time.
All credit for Most Haunted. It, you know, except for the Warrens, it put the paranormal out there. It put it into the eye. So I thank them for that. Because without that, we wouldn't have what we've got today. But, you know, it would be nice to see. But then would it? You know, a genuine TV programme where very, very little happens.
Yeah,
you know, most people in the world don't want to watch that. I mean, we do. Because that's what we do for a living. But
yeah, that's the thing. When you get home and you look at your footage and you're begging something to move for a good hour, and nothing moves.
You know,
That's not the episode you want, is it?
No, and I've said to, you know, as I say to my customers and my friends, everything, you know, we've been 6, 7, 8 hours at a location now, trying to stay awake, thinking of things to do because nothing's happened. And then obviously the next location you go to, after 5 minutes, World War III happened.
Yeah.
You know, and just, we love it anymore. Anyway, we love it, don't we? You have to. You have to like it, because if you're not fully into it, you're going to get very disappointed.
Yeah, I'm really bored and cold.
Yeah, we're the kind of people that go out there, like, even when it's freezing cold, pouring rain, because we're that. I don't know if we're obsessed, silly, daft, whatever we are. I don't know what we are, but we go out, we do it time after time, you know, and you know, you've got to be dedicated. You really have. You
absolutely do. Would you say that's probably your scariest experience as well, then, Michelle?
I think so, definitely. I was going to say to be honest, nothing really scares me. So, yeah, it's quite hard. But I mean, that night, you know, it was quite unsettling when that happened. So, yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so next question. Top 5 places you would love to investigate?
Would love to.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, number 1 for me would have to be Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alcatraz would be good.
Oh, then that's just the pinnacle. You know, it's probably been done to death, and the spirits have probably took an overdue holiday and gone away from the place by now. But it's, you know, I've always wanted to do Alcatraz. The next one's along. I don't know. You know, obviously being former military, you know, I've always been into the military since I was at school, World War II. I spoke to my granddad who was in World War II. I've always had a fascination for military places, military buildings. Want to do Mill Street Barracks.
Yep.
You know, it's a very small place. You know, it's not as well known as these big places like Bonniegarth and all of them ones. So I want to do that one. I did, at one point, always wanted to do 30 East Drive. Always did.
Okay.
But that, after people that have been there, people that I know that have been there, what they've witnessed or had to endure, I don't know. I'm not going to the height stop 30 East Drive or not. I don't know with East Drive, do I?
No.
You know,
I've heard too much bad things about it as well, so...
You know, I've had a little fakery there from the lady that lives next door. Whether she does or not, I don't know, because I've never been, so I won't point my finger of any blame. But if I was giving it for free, I'd go to get it off my bucket list.
Yeah.
But all the places I would like to go to.
Well, like I say, Alcatraz is one of mine. Bonniegarth is one of mine. Denby.
Well, don't everyone want to do Denby.
Yeah, Denby.
No, the chances of getting on there is very, very hard, as we found out a couple hopefully it will lift away. But
Then with the ancient ram in.
Ancient Ram, definitely. Well, I want to do all the three in, to do Ancient Ram, Jamaica, and what's the third one? It'll come to me at 3 o'clock in the morning, like it normally does.
Yeah, please don't call me then to let me know. A message was fine.
You know, that's our night time. We're night owls, so we're always up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Skirrid, that's the other one. Yeah.
Oh, the Skirrid, yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to think, isn't it? There's that many places in this country and around the world.
Absolutely. It's a tough question, but I like it because sometimes people come up with ones that I've never heard of, and then that leads me to be like, okay, now I want to investigate in this as well. Like, let me have a look at this. And sometimes, like I had on another podcast, he just visited 30 East Drive. For him, that trip, it wasn't really worth it. So it's kind of interesting. I suppose I kind of asked this for quite a selfish reason, really, which is to give me more places to think of, like, do I want to be there, and to get feedback on places to decide if I want to spend my money going there.
Exactly. You go off people's experiences, and with 13 Drive, I'm very certain that something happened there back in that day. I'm certain there is something there.
Yeah.
But the children themselves openly come out and said they've faked a lot of it. They said that themselves. So then that puts a damper on things, doesn't it? The knife that was sitting on, stood upright on the table was all fake. Stuart getting pulled upstairs. Oh, I remember Stuart from Most Haunted getting pulled upstairs. Carl Beatty, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's, and I'm thinking, but if I got a chance to go, it didn't cost me anything, then I'll go. So there are other places. I mean, another one on my list would be Newsham Park. I've had a lot of good feedback from there. Really hard. Yeah, Newsham Park is one. We've got so much history in this country. It's hard. And we find it hard as well as a public event business. I hate to use the word business at the end of the day, because we reach out to these certain locations, but they don't want to know.
Yeah.
We are sending emails back saying we don't want your kind here. Well, can you elaborate? What's our kind? We just have a weird, strange hobby. That's all we have. It's nothing, it's nothing bad. We're not breaking into a bank or anything like that. It's our kind. Well priced, overly priced. We inquired at the Old Hall in Gainsborough, which is one of the oldest, best preserved manor houses in the country. £1,500 to invest it there, and you only get a few hours.
I think the highest one I've been quoted was £3,000.
Oh my God. Overly priced, isn't it? And it's the thing, it's like if you're a millionaire.
Yeah, it's like I'm not renting the castle for a wedding. There's quite a lot on our database where I'm just like, well, that'd be lovely one day, but for now, that's not a thing.
Even as a public event, you start to sell a lot of tickets at a very high price.
Oh, very high.
We don't want to make money from the paranormal. All the money that we get from our event will go towards equipment, newer locations, better locations. We don't like to make a profit. We don't have it as a business. It's a hobby that,
We're exactly the same. So whenever we earn money from an event, that goes into paying the deposits for the next events. And it just runs in a cycle like that.
Yeah, obviously, we're not as established as most other people. We've only just started the events, but it's...
When places like that, price like that, it's almost impossible, isn't it? Unless you are Most Haunted or Help My House is Haunted or whatever that's got a TV programme and lots of money, it's not accessible for the majority of people who have the paranormal as a hobby, unfortunately.
I'm looking into that Most Haunted experience, God forbid. And I thought, I'll have a look at these prices, but they're pricing like £75 for a night. If you want Carl Beachy there, it's like £95, and then he goes apparently after 2 hours. And I'm thinking, I, as a customer, would want to pay £100 to go for a few hours at a location. Something I can go to, I'm not going to get free. But, it's, you say about Paradise when we had charity. We was doing a charity event, which was, we had to cancel it because of jealousy. And it was a former RAF Timber, which is a bar end in Lincolnshire. And what they're doing there is they're restoring one of the Lightning planes that used to be housed there when the base was operational. So they need a cash influx because they don't get help from the government.
Yeah.
So we thought, we reached out to them, was well aware that there was a paranormal company or a group on there that does some exclusivity work, which is fine. We don't want to tread on their toes. and we just want to do the event for them as a charity event. So all the money from that, all the proceeds, the merchandise that we sell will go towards the restoration of this plane, which I thought was, fantastic.
Really cool. Really cool. What a thing to give back to your community as well.
And, I was quite happy. I thought it's military, so it's up my street, so to speak. So I reached out to Barry Guy, because we've investigated with Barry Guy. We did Shepton Mallet Prison. Fantastic bloke. I do like Help My House Haunted, even though it's going a bit downhill now. And he got back to me, and I said, it's a charity event. Bear in mind, it's a charity event. We don't want anything for free. I get that. And he wants £800 just to visit.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? It's really...
Just for a couple of hours. Now, I get your time is precious. You're a very busy man. I get that. Not a problem. I don't want nothing for free. But, how many tickets am I going to have to sell just to make his fee?
Yeah, absolutely.
Charity event, it's just... So our next port of call has been Richard Phelan, the historian.
Yeah.
And we need to reach out to him more now. And he's welcome, because we're looking at doing his Derby jail. He's a very friendly guy. I was speaking to him for nearly an hour. And he's a lovely bloke to speak to. And so we're going to try and get him to come on. But this event, going off topic, we got it all planned, all running. The people at Bimbrook, the restoration team, they're all happy with it. Not a problem. Then this team that they're often, quite often, I won't name names, I won't do that. They didn't like it. They spat the dummy out, so to speak. But no, we don't expect that. We don't want to be consider anything like that. We don't want to be affiliated with people making money from the paranormal. And so I reached out, but never got any response from them. I think that blocks us now anyway. I said to them, well, we're not affiliated with you. You're not affiliated with us. We don't need to be. We're not treading on your toes. This is a charity event. We're making no money from it. It's all for these people. It didn't matter. They're not bothered about them making a charity donation or anything like that. They wanted it stopped, and we had to cancel it.
That's such a shame. That's such a shame.
Awful, isn't it? And there is a lot of jealousy in the para community. There's so much backstabbing. And it's just, why?
I know, we use the term para community, but it often doesn't feel very community, does it?
No, not very friendly at all. There is, there's a lot of egos.
But that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this podcast, because, as far as I'm concerned, we can all be sharing each other, we can all be learning about what the other one's doing, we can all be sharing information, and all it will do is build the evidence base stronger, because if you've had X, Y, and Z, and then I get X, Y, and Z on a different night and we're not together, it's going to build the evidence, it's going to build our opportunity, it can pull together, and we might be able to afford a £3,000 castle. For me, and that's one of the reasons I do this podcast, is to make connections and to hopefully connect more people to each other so that it can become a proper community.
I wish it to happen, I really do.
Well, we can hope for the future, that's what it's going to look like.
And it's, let's hope so. We do, we're doing that part to be paranormal, aren't we? With Barry Frankish, aren't we? And that's basically the same thing.
Yeah.
We are proud to be paranormal. We love it. And it is a very, backstabbing community, and everyone's vying for that top spot, whether it be fakery or real, doesn't matter. There are too many egos, and it's just, sometimes it makes you think, is it worth it? I've thought that myself a few times, and I thought, no, it is worth it, because I enjoy what I do. That's the evidence for it as well. Absolutely, but I think people out there are jealous.
Yeah, well, hopefully, with companies, like everyone I've spoken to on the podcast, actually, because everyone I've interviewed has pretty much said the same thing, which is that often the community isn't supporting each other as it should be. But that's great, because if everyone I've already spoken to feels like that, we ourselves, within the podcast, are building, in essence, a list of companies that are wanting to be part of that community, which is great, because it could start here and get bigger and bigger and bigger. We can get more and more people all in the community. We know that you guys, want that community feel, want to share, want to include, and we know, Fusion Tarot, who I interviewed a few weeks ago, feel the same, and that's great, because hopefully eventually there'll be more of us that want to be a community than there is trying to ruin one.
So, we all investigate differently. We all have different ways how we investigate. None of it's right, none of it's wrong. Like you said, we can all learn from each other.
Yeah.
Even get together. I love collabing with the team. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's just, because like they learn from each other.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a good way of doing that. I've been, even members of my own team have said, well, why don't we try doing it this way? And I thought, I've never looked at it like that. I'm all for open ideas. There is no expert. There's no one out there that's, trained, so to speak. There's no manual. There's no courses to go on. Well, the legitimate courses, that is. And it's fantastic. But yeah.
No, I love collabing. I remember very early on, before I kind of reignited D.C.P.I, we investigated. We were a paranormal kind of meet thing at Bude Castle, down in Cornwall near me, and we were alongside Fusion Tower. We spent quite a lot of time in the evening with them, and Plymouth Paranormal tours, and they used divination rods, divining rods, and I was like, I'd never thought about using them in an investigation setting at all.
Oh no! I mean, we have them in our cases. But I've never used them.
Yeah, and I said to him, I was like, that's brilliant. I've never thought about that. And he was like, I'll have these, and just gave me some divining. We get them out every time we go on a hunt now, and I can guarantee a customer, if it's a paid event, a customer will want to use them, or the staff will use them. They get used every single time.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agreement there. I mean, like I said, it's something I've still never used them to this day myself. I don't try and rely on technology, because I think your best senses are your senses. Your best tools are your senses, should I say. Your hearing, your sight, your touch, everything else like that. And your voice, they're your best bits of equipment to have. I'll always say that. But I do like that equipment. I love it. It's a tool to use, but we don't rely on it, do we? Because it can be fooled. My favourite bit of kit is the SLS camera. I love the SLS.
Yeah.
And I've used that with great success. Not the app, the actual camera itself, but
yeah, apps is a whole nother ball game, isn't it?
We've noticed. I remember when me and Michelle first got together, 4 years ago. Everything was all in Michelle's little bag that she put on her back, your little rucksack, wasn't it? Everything fitted in there. We have room to spare for the drinks and everything else. Now we have to have a whole car full.
Yeah.
We don't use all this equipment in one go, but we take it with us. It's growing, and there's still more to get. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. I find it depends on situation, it depends where you are, it depends on the activity of the night, what comes out the box,
Absolutely.
So it's great to have that toolkit, even if you're not using all of the tools. It's great to have it there. And I find the divining rods, especially people who seem to be a little bit more spiritual, maybe a little bit more connected to spirit, they tend to like to use them. And it's just great to have that option there for customers if that's what they want to do,
It is,
But I'd never have thought about that unless I collaborated with another team and saw it happening.
Exactly. This is what you learn from each other. It's all a learning curve. We're all learning. We're doing it for that learning, aren't we? Because there is no expert. Most of what we do is purely just guesswork. We've got no definitive answer. I don't think we ever will have either. Not in our age, anyway. But so we like to use old techniques as well as new techniques.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the same.
On the location, what the history is of the location. I think different things work at different places. And it's just trying that balance, isn't it? It's still a lovely thing. I love it.
Okay, so from your answers so far, I'm going to assume that the answer to this question is no, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Is there anywhere either of you wouldn't investigate?
As an investigator and an urban explorer, the answer would be no.
Yeah.
But from a moral point of view, I wouldn't investigate in a church.
Okay.
And I say an active graveyard. That sounds bad. But, a graveyard that's a more modern graveyard. That's only from a moral point of view.
The ones that years and years on their own case. Obviously not the more modern, not ones being buried within the last
that's only personal to me.
Yeah.
I think, consecrated ground, do I want to investigate there? I don't know, It's one of those things, isn't it? Do you, don't you? An abandoned ruins of a church, I've got no problems with it. I've done quite a few.
Yeah.
I've done even Skipbrook Church, the most demonic church apparently in the country, which I've never got no evidence there, but there we go. But, but other than that, there's nowhere that I personally would go,
I did assume that would be your guys' answer. You're pretty hardy. I mean, I'm a terrified mess half the time. I don't know how I do this job.
I love the dark. I'm more at home in the dark than I am in the day.
I get blind at night. I'm rubbish. I can't even move around properly. It's really not the career for me, but here we are.
I'm benefiting from it because my night vision is very good for been in tune when I was in the military. I've done a lot of operations at night. So I'm very attuned to the night time. You know, my senses are more alert. So I absolutely love it. And if I, you know, my favourite places are usually tunnels, caves, mine shafts, anything underground. So
Oh, yes. I'm an underground person, but, you know, at all times of the day. I quite like caving and things like that, so I'm very at home in that situation. Anywhere up high, though, absolutely not. I mean, we did a fort near us, I think it was in Dorset, and they had like a big walk around at the top of the fort. My legs were shaking. I couldn't do it. As soon as we went into the tunnels, I was fine. My legs just go like jelly. I just feel like I'm going to fall off.
It is that effect you have, isn't it? As in all phobias, you know, because it's just that irrational thought in your head.
Yeah.
You can do it yourself personally. It's just your head telling you you can't do this or you don't like that. You know, same with me with phobias of rats. It's exactly the same. You know, it's that fear of the unknown, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, look like, you know, heights, paramiles. I've sailed down 100-foot cliff. You know, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, great. So if we team up on an event, you can do anywhere up top. I'll stay ground level. We'll split it like that.
As long as the ladder or steps that take me up there is safe and secure. Now, if it starts wobbling, you can forget it.
Oh, that's brilliant. So we talked. You said about your favourite pieces of equipment, Mark, being your sensors. But in terms of technology, you said obviously the SLS was your favourite kind of thing to use, the SLS camera. What about yours, Michelle? What's your favourite piece of equipment and why?
Mine's the SLS as well. It's just the thought of actually being able to see when spirits are, when obviously they don't think you can see them. But obviously with the SLS you can. So yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
We've got our best bit of evidence this year through the SLS camera, so it's just fantastic. Yeah, it has to be the SLS. I don't know about what yours is, but definitely SLS for us.
Oh, mine. Mine's a piece of equipment that I've had the opportunity to use a few times, but I don't own and would love to. But I love using thermal imaging.
Oh, we got a small handheld thermal imaging camera, yeah. It's a lot of good.
I've caught my best bit of evidence on thermal imaging, and that was actually at Shepton. It was just 3 of us stood on the bottom level of one of the cell blocks, and a full person-shaped heat signature walked down the gangway and into one of the cells. Then on the thermal imaging camera, my colleague runs up the stairs, falls over, which is hilarious, runs into the cell to make sure that it's not an actual person, and it isn't.
Doing a bit of filming during the daytime. The cell that I actually went in, I didn't actually realise until I looked back on the actual footage that when I went into the cell, just before I came out, a person actually said hello. They were saying.
Nice.
And then I went into the last cell on the same side, and I must have been disturbing somebody because all I got was like, okay, okay. So, yeah.
It's the tourist that is the check.
Yeah, then actually, I've got a spirit that was actually calling my name. Then I went into a different cell and I was calling out and asked if there was anybody in this cell, and I got the reply, yes, there is.
Oh, amazing. Absolutely incredible.
It was like a snappy reply. Oh, yeah, yes, there is.
Yes, yes.
You know, the one kind of like, you know, you in my space kind of answers. You know.
Yeah, like, this is occupied, can you please leave?
Personal space, you know. I love Shepton.
They can see us, but we can't see them. But yeah.
It is very good, Shepton Mallet. Oh, when we both went to Shepton Mallet, I think it was 2.5, 3 years ago.
About that.
And it was an event with Barry Guy and his team of investigators. And we were up into the hanging room, and one of his investigators, I can't remember his name, but bless him, and he said, is there any like sensitive people here that would like to do a quick EVP burst like Barry Guy normally does? You know, he's renowned for it.
Yeah.
And Michelle said, yeah, I'll do it. So obviously, got his digital recorder or whatever he was using. And so Michelle was asking a few questions. She said, obviously, do you have any remorse for what you did? I think the question before that, she said, how do you feel going up to the gallows, knowing you're going to be hung? Yeah. And obviously, we got back into the break room at break time, and obviously, he was playing it back, and he brought it to us and says, well, listen to this. And so when Michelle says, how do you feel going up to the gallows to be hung? And it come back with a very automated response, angry, really automated, wasn't it? So it definitely wasn't a human. You know, it was obviously something came through the device. It said angry, exact straight after it. And then she says, when she says, do you have any remorse for what you did? It came back, no.
Oh, wow. It's interesting because when you said hanging room, I got really excited because I was like, is he going to say what happened? Was our experience in the hanging room going to be the same? So I was like, oh, have we got like a continuation of evidence here? But we did not. Mine was not like that.
And even Barry Guy was blown away. But
I mean, we've got so many voices, haven't we, recorded. We did it, was it that Manor House in Carmichael?
Carmichael House in Scotland.
Yeah, Carmichael House in Scotland. It's ruined, but we actually found like a little basement part. So I went down there and I said to Mark, like, can you go explore? So I said, I'm not alone down here. I said, I know I'm not. So Mark went off Paradigm exploring. I was recording. I asked 3 questions, and on the 3rd question, I said, could you please try and talk into the device? And the response I got back from a little girl was, I'm trying.
Oh.
It was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. She said it like a crying kind of voice. I'm trying. And obviously we didn't hear it till we got home. Because obviously we was on our way home from Scotland at that point.
Yeah.
And, so I thought, oh my God, if I'd have known that, obviously you'd have known that, yeah. We'd have stayed there a bit longer and tried to communicate with her. Because obviously she wanted to communicate, and I felt awful. So it's wrote it the next year. Yeah, because before she said I'm trying, there was actually a male voice, but I couldn't make out what that male voice was saying.
Oh, that's sad, isn't it? I do. There is moments when you're doing investigating that are really sad and really heartbreaking, and I think people who don't believe and they're not in the paranormal world find it really difficult to believe, which I get because paranormal is one of those things that's really personal.
Yeah.
But I've had it before when we've been communicating through voice and we're asking somebody questions and we kind of get to the point where we're like, do you know you've passed? And they're like, no.
Yeah.
We get that quite often. Yeah.
And I find that so heart-wrenching. Or like, are you stuck here? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is horrible.
It is horrible.
I think the funniest thing in the paranormal is when you're doing like a Ouija board and you say, is anybody there who would like to communicate? And it goes to no.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Somebody there, obviously.
I find it hilarious. Every time it happens, I'm like, well, that's fine if you don't want to chat, but,
Or do you say, is there anybody there? And it goes to no. Well, there must be somebody there to say no.
Yeah.
So they're very funny spirits, aren't they? They can be very funny and patronising.
Absolutely.
Oh, the bad words I've been called. It's absolutely ridiculous. Because you're what, thick skin. Being called a moron, an idiot. I've swear at me so many times. I was there often, this, that, and the other. And I remember there was one. I'm not sure if it was Stanley Pally who was doing, and it was the SS method. And this was, I think we was a host for this other company, and there was only me and Michelle there, just to guess. And I said I called out to the spirit, so is there any spirits there that would like to communicate? He went, yes. I thought, hey, well, for a bit. It was after the first few minutes. And I thought, fantastic. And I said, okay, Spirit, that's fantastic, thank you. Who do you want to speak to? And Taran said, not you. I said, so you don't want to speak to me? And he goes, no.
I found that. So I found that most commonly so Shepton Mallet, it's happened, where they pretty much refuse to speak to the women of the group.
Ooh, yeah.
Wookie Hole, it happened. They refused to speak to the women at the group. Wookie Hole Caves, yeah. Interestingly, at Bronny Garth, another thing to think about when you go is that when we were there, we were using the Estes method and they were coming through speaking Welsh. So we had to have somebody who was in the audience who thankfully spoke Welsh and she was translating the conversation. But that threw me because I was like, oh, okay, well, I can't speak Welsh. Anybody? Please?
You have to start taking dictionaries from different countries with you, won't you?
I know.
Think, doesn't it, sometimes why you don't get responses? Because maybe, because if you go back 16th century, we didn't speak English, we spoke Latin.
Yeah.
So do they not understand? Is that why they don't answer? They don't get communication because they don't understand, or they can't spell. This is why the Ouija board doesn't always work.
That's one of the things I tend to ask. If we're investigating in Wales, one of the first questions, once I've made initial contact, one of the first questions we tend to ask is do you speak English? Let's get that out of the way, because if you're going to start speaking Welsh, someone else needs to come in and take over. And on boards and things, once we've got that initial yes, I always ask, do you know your letters? Do you know your numbers? Like, or are we just going to be yes and knowing this? Because if I'm asking someone to spell their name and they're 6 and they don't know or they didn't have education, it's not going to work.
Also, there's these kind of things to instigate to the public that are not quite as knowledgeable, and it, why we're not getting the answers on the Ouija board? Well, it could be because of this or this or this, know. And, you have to, like I say, apart from doing what we do, is we have to educate.
But no, I think being aware of those, differences in things like spelling, language, if you're in a prison, I'm from Devon, I'm from Torquay, we've got a place called the Spanish Barn, which housed loads of prisoners from the Spanish Armada. There would be no use me going in there and speaking English, because they simply would not be able to communicate. And being aware of these things, like in prisons, or, places like Shepton Mallet, it wouldn't have been the done thing for a man to answer to a woman. Same as in some pubs, women weren't allowed to speak to men. So you have to kind of be aware of these cultural differences, even though they're hundreds of years old. To them, that, in my opinion, that is still their belief, that is still their system.
Well, exactly. It's like we always say, if somebody was rude or not very nice in human world, so to speak, they're not going to be like that. They're going to be exactly the same as a spirit.
Yeah.
So if they think that women were lower class, like you just said, they're going to still believe that.
Absolutely.
So trying to get the customers to not take offence is very, very difficult, because, sometimes, certain crimes were allowed back in the day, which are not allowed now.
Yeah.
Or frowned upon nowadays. But, and to make customers understand without slating the spirit and being, horrible to spirit, well, that's not very nice, she was a very nasty, evil person. You sort of have to gain that, you have that respect. Even if you don't believe it, you don't have to agree with it, but you have to give the spirit that respect, because they're from a different era.
Yeah, absolutely. And we just work around it, like in Shepton, when the men are refusing to speak to me, I'm just like, okay, pick a random customer in the room, let's pick a man, you come and ask the questions. Like, if you don't want to speak to me, that's fine, but I'd really like to hear your story still.
Yeah, I mean, we like to always say, we always come with respect, and we'd expect the respect back as well, But yeah, it is. I mean, God, if I took offence to every time a spirit said to me or didn't.
Oh, I know, right? The amount of times you get told to get out or fuck off or whatever, if we took offence and, we wouldn't still be doing the job, would we?
And every location you go to, it's always get out.
Yeah.
Why do you have to get out for it? If you really want to leave that badly, do something to make us leave.
Yeah, I love that question. But then also I'm in my head going, don't touch me, don't touch me.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I love doing the public event. I always say, go to touch somebody in the room, all countries go, no, please, we're here for this experience, it's not going to kill you, so to speak, I always say that, but do it in a respectful way, please. I don't want no lawsuits at the end of the day, someone was sexually harassed by a spirit,
I always offer up my partner in crime. I'm always like, you can touch her, crack on, throw something at her, that'd be great.
I love that, the cold feeling when the spirit's touched you, especially if it's a child that reaches out or touches your trousers or something. I love it.
The most I will tolerate is if I know it's children spirits and they're trying to touch hands, that's fine. Anything further than that, you can get lost. Make a noise, do something else, just don't touch me.
But I just love to see the look on the public's face when the courts are they've got a cold spot. Obviously, we're used to all of this.
Yeah.
So it's still exciting to us, of course it is. But the look on their faces, that pleasure or sometimes the scaredness that they get, makes it all worthwhile. Because you never get the hair pulled or anything like that. Because it is difficult. It's difficult to keep a group of customers amused if nothing's going on. Keep the spirits up, so to speak. And it is hard. Sometimes you're like flogging a dead horse, aren't you? Sometimes it's just get them to interact is very bloody difficult as well.
I think that's where the human pendulum really comes in, though, because that, for me, we always do that first as well. I find, because we do I don't know if you guys do, obviously we all work differently, but we do a white light energy build before we do anything anyway, and we go straight into a pendulum, and I'm always making a joke. I'm like, right, you're all holding hands now, like we're friends, like, that's it. I find the human pendulum massively breaks the ice in terms of interaction. Like, in the break room, everyone's kind of sitting separately and quite quiet, and as soon as the human pendulum's done, it's like everyone's known each other forever. It's like, oh, lovely, perfect.
I agree 100% with that. I always use that as an icebreaker.
Yeah.
I've done, like Michelle, you come here as strangers, but we'll leave as friends.
Yeah.
And you always hold hands, and I always say, well, we're not going to not going to fall over. There's someone in front of you and someone behind you. You'll never fall over.
Yeah.
You know, but then when you get the people in the outer circle swaying,
yeah,
you know, you think, wow, you know, and it's just phenomenal, isn't it? You know, but it is also funny because I've had it on 2 occasions now where I think the spirit can obviously introduce whoever's in the middle. You can use them as a conduit, so to speak, or a vessel. And can you show us either forward or backwards to the yes answer? So it obviously goes forward. So I said, that's fantastic. So forward the yes answer. Can you do that again? So it does that again. Can you show us the movement for the yes answer, the no answer? And that also went forward. Oh, this is going to be bloody complicated, this one, isn't it? You know, and it's just, they go from side to side. What the hell's that supposed to be then? You know? Yeah.
Oh, I know. At Wookiee Hole, we did a human pendulum, and she lifted her arm up and started pointing at people. And I was like, oh, that's weird. That's not normal. That doesn't fit the criteria.
You know, I always think of the gentleman when they spoke to a couple saying, well, it could be you. You know, they want to speak to you. Yeah. And then obviously try and step back and oh, no, not me. No.
I've been in the pendulum a few times, but one time I was in the pendulum and it was actually my friend's dad, and I was drunk. So I was going all over the place. I wasn't answering the questions as such because he was drunk. He was swaying. So we had to swap and use glasswork and Ouija board instead because he was drunk. There was no getting any sense out of him. I literally felt hammered. I couldn't see straight. It was so strange.
It is a weird feeling though, isn't it? You know, when they get you to feel how they felt.
Yeah.
It's also a heartbreaking moment. You know, if they've had a heart attack and you clutch in your chest because you feel their pain. It is awful. It really is.
Especially as I don't drink. Like, I don't, you know, the last time I was drunk was when I was 18. So to me, to be completely sober, feeling hammered was just a very strange experience.
Oh my God. But no, I do like the human pendulum. I will always start, you know, I'm a creature of habit. I'll always start with the human pendulum and then take it from there. You know, we do like the SDS method, though. We use that.
Yeah, we use that a lot. I think it's great. And it's so good for the customers as well, because it can be it's such kind of an intense personal experience, isn't it?
It is, you know, and as far as I'm concerned, that never failed us. No. Never. Not once it ever failed, you know, and it's phenomenal.
Do you ever find with it, you get a few conversations? Because I've done it a few times and it feels like I'm part of somebody else's chat. Like, there's a group of people having a conversation. I'm like, can you just form an orderly queue and speak one at a time?
Yeah. Yes, we do have that where the spirits chat amongst themselves.
Yeah, and it feels like you're just sat in the room and nobody's giving you a word in edgeways.
You know, many times we do that and they'll always have the customer say, no, fuck off, you know, go away, leave me alone, you know, hey, what?
Yeah.
Oh, not Bert, no, Bert can go do one. It's the spirit that we picked up for our first event of this year, a pub in Chapel St Leonard, so that was fun. But yeah, I do feel like they do have like to have a conversation amongst themselves. It's
strange, isn't it? It's really strange when you get that.
We have the same with, because we don't use many apps. I don't like apps, I'm not a believer of apps. We use necrophonics. I love necrophonics. You know, it's like the only one that I do tend to use. And sometimes then you hear them having a conversation along. Hello, no, we're here. You know, hello. You don't like it if we ignore you.
Yeah, it's like we're secondary guests. Like, we're almost a fly on the wall, isn't it?
Yeah, it's funny. You know, it's hilarious. It's just a light-hearted part of what we do.
Okay, so as a company and as individuals, I suppose, what is your main goal in hunting the paranormal?
For me, it's really to get more evidence to try and actually prove suicide after death. I mean, obviously I've had my own experiences and I know it exists, but my goal is to try and get other people to actually believe by trying to present them with more evidence that we can get.
The ultimate goal is to truly find out what it is. You know, is the life after death? Is that definitive answer that, you know, it's going to be very hard to get. But yes, the yearning, the wanting to learn, you know, that's a long trouble, but I don't know. But that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Is to find definitive proof that life does exist.
And I think part of that comes from a community discussing. Because, as we said earlier, you know, if I've had the same thing happen, you've had the same thing happen, Joe Vlogs has had the same thing happen, all at different times, if we could collate that information, there has to be a point where you look at it and you go, actually, this has happened so many times now that it can't be coincidence anymore.
Yeah.
You know, if you're getting the same picture of the same lady in the same place, and I'm getting that picture, like, you know, I think that's the only way we're going to ever be able to kind of get to the point where it's people can't deny it, is if we confront them with 500 cases of exactly the same thing.
Yeah, you know, and I am a firm believer that I don't believe in the word coincidence. You know, I'm always a believer that things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, there's no coincidences. You know, it's and like you say, you know, it is that you do need that, don't you? And that's going to get more and more people. And this is why we need the community.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not backstabbing each other and vying for the best accolade or whatever. You know, it's be at one with each other.
Yeah.
Put all our evidence together. See which is the same kind of evidence. You know, and it's just you know, all we can do is try.
Yeah, we will keep trying to get there.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this. So I'm going to go with Michelle first. Do you 100% believe in spirits?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Definitely 110%.
And Mark?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, coming from a firm non-believer, I'm definitely a firm believer. Yeah, 100%.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
It's been awesome, and hopefully we can get you on another one. For anybody listening, if you head to the comments, you'll see all of the links for what Michelle and Mark are doing. Go and follow them, show them some support, look at their incredible evidence, and hopefully we'll chat again soon, guys.
Thank you very much. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.